Right. There we go. Right, we're good. We're good. Are we here? I think we're alive. Someone let me know in the chat. Right. Yeah, I think we're good. Right then. Let me just get a little tweet out quickly. How is everybody doing? We'll start the stream properly in a sec. Because we've actually just got some more news that I just need to add to my list of things to talk about. So if you just give me a sec. This is terrible streaming. Something literally just popped up on Twitter that I wanted to talk about, which I just need to. Yeah, we'll start with that actually. Okay then. Hello everybody, Ben, Matty, Sammy, Comrade. How are we doing? Right, let's do this properly, shall we? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Ben Bowman YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing these streams pretty regularly on the channel over the summer. Just talking through latest transfer bits. Thank you so much to everyone who's helped me get over 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Massively, massively appreciate it. It's been a brilliant start. I'm glad you're all enjoying the videos, and this is another new way of connecting with you guys and just having a bit of a chat, really. So we're here. We're going to talk transfers. We're going to talk the pre-season tour squad. We're going to talk about... What else are we going to talk about this morning? We're going to talk about who those potential 3 players are that Paul O'Keefe has reported that Spurs might be looking to accelerate deals for in the coming days. And we've got a hell of a lot to get through. We're going to talk about Desiree Doué as well. We're going to talk about Richarlison, who's another player who might be on his way out of Tottenham. We're going to talk about Pierre Højbjerg as well. Let me just get this up because I actually didn't pull up the news about Richarlison. Sorry. First proper stream like this, guys, so please bear with me. Let me know in the chat as well where you're watching from, what you're doing. Obviously, Richarlison is on the pre-season tour. Sorry, this is a terrible start to the stream. Right, there are links to Richarlison. Right, okay, there we go. Let's start with that then. So, good morning, everybody. Zach on Spurs, let's get down to business. Owen Rice, good morning. Will Hester, my man, is in the chat. We need to move for Eze soon. We'll talk about Eze, but let's start with Richarlison. How is everybody feeling about Richarlison? Tottenham Hotspur wants £60 million for Richarlison after Saudi Pro League side Al Ali indicated an interest in signing the player. Now, obviously, it feels like Spurs are going to sign maybe a striker towards the end of the window, potentially. It doesn't feel like we're going to go all out for one unless we get decent money for someone like Richie. Let me know what you think about that in the chat as well. Do Spurs need to be more proactive in their pursuit of a striker? Are you happy if Richarlison is our starting striker next season? Or do we need to upgrade him now and actively look to push him out the door to bring someone in? Because it's hard, because obviously we've got a lot of younger players knocking on the door in terms of those striker options. Will Lancashire had a really impressive pre-season. Obviously Dane Scarlett is around as well. Alejo Veliz is around as well. Obviously we've got Sonny who can still play through the middle. Do Spurs need to actively be looking to ship Richarlison out and then bring someone in, or are you happy with Richie as our starting striker next season? Callum Roche in the chat. Good morning, Callum. How you doing, pal? Dream outcome for me is to sell Richie and get Tony and Openda. Openda. Me and Will talked about this on an episode of Daring and Doing. I did a striker tier list on my channel, so go and watch that. And there's going to be another video on strikers coming on the channel in the next few days as well. We've got some familiar Spurs faces to kind of give me their thoughts on who they think our striker signing should potentially be if we do sign one. I think Openda would fit the system incredibly well, but he's got a massive release clause, which I just don't think Spurs are going to pay. Also, I don't think it becomes active until next summer anyway, and he's only just signed for Leipzig. He's only been there a year. So we shall see. But yeah, Openda would be an amazing fit. Really versatile, can play across that front three, pace for days, such a clinical finisher as well. Brilliant at link-up play. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on Richarlison. I can't see us getting £60 million for Richie. I really can't. But if we get close to that, then I think Spurs have got to take the money. I said this in a TikTok video yesterday. Go and follow me on TikTok. Go and follow the second channel on TikTok as well. I'll put a link to that in the description. I'm trying to get that to 10k, nearly at 25k on the main channel, which is great. Hopefully get there today. So go and show that a bit of love for sure. SS26, I guess you're talking about Tony. He said he reminds me loads of Harry. The combined fee will be less than what we got for Kane and Richie. Yeah. I mean, Tony for me is a no-brainer if we do sell Richarlison. He's there. He's just waiting there. And I do think it's either going to be Spurs or West Ham who kind of pounce on it. And I just think maybe wait until the end of the window, until the fee goes down. Matty Kushner, I'm happy with Richie and some backups. I'd rather sign 2 wingers that are capable, unlike Werner. I mean, Werner's here, isn't he? I think Werner, I like Timo Werner. I've got frustrations with him, of course, but I think he's kind of a valuable member in the squad. I think he adds something that maybe some of the other wingers don't, and can kind of do something out of nothing a little bit with that pace and those low balls in the box. I think he's a better option than Solomon for sure. But I feel you. Yeah, I do feel you. It'd be interesting to see if Spurs do sign 2 wingers, or maybe a forward that can play out wide potentially as well. But we'll get onto that shortly. Ben, I'd happily keep Richie and feel like it'd be a shame to send him to Saudi, but switching Richie for a homegrown Tony and a bit of cash feels like a no-brainer. Yeah, I totally agree with you, mate. Matty, I don't feel like Tony's an upgrade on Richie at the moment. Tony's a confidence player and he will have rough patches. I think if you put Tony in a team that a better team that plays on the front foot, where he knows he's going to score a load of goals, I think you get that confidence kind of all year round. Of course, most strikers go through these patches where they score and then don't score. But I think Tony in a better team would be more consistent. And again, he was so consistent for Brentford before the ban. Obviously, when he came back, he didn't quite show that same level, but that's to be expected kind of after being out for a while, etc., kind of getting back up to speed. Yes, he was disappointing, but I don't think you should judge Tony necessarily on that second half of the season at Brentford last year. Connor Simpkins, unless the fee is 50-60 mil, I wouldn't force a transfer. Would love to see Will Lancashire get some minutes off the bench or in the League Cup, regardless of who ends up being on number 9. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I agree. Oh, you mean Lancashire reminds you of Harry? Yeah, I get that. Harry, his movement and his play with back to goal. Me and Will talked about it on Daring and Doing yesterday. And I talked about it in the QPR stream that I did as well. If you enjoyed those streams, by the way, they're going to continue after every game, basically. Obviously, we're going to do one. Who are we playing on Saturday? Vissel Kobe. There'll be a stream on Sunday, probably, Sunday morning. And then after the K-League All-Stars game, and then after the Bayern game. And I'll keep those streams a regular fixture for the Premier League and the Europa League next season. So, yeah, like the stream if you want those to stay. Make sure you subscribe as well. But, yeah, Tim's asked... Gollum's asked a question here. Any underrated academy players in your opinion? I'll come on to that because I want to talk about the pre-season tour squad. But obviously, yeah, Will Lancashire is definitely one. I feel like Will Lancashire, almost in a funny way, kind of doesn't get the appreciation that he necessarily even deserves, or he still goes a bit under the radar. And I think this is a guy that was the PL2 player of the season last year. And I don't think he necessarily got the same hype as players like Mikey Moore and Jamie Donnelly, etc., which is to be expected. I mean, Mikey Moore is 16 years old. And that kid is, special, so he's going to get the hype for sure. I hope Sonny up top and Lancashire in the cup fixtures. Yeah. I'd like to see Lancashire given a chance. Me and Will did a bit of a keep or loan for some of the younger players on the Daring and Doing pod yesterday. Go and subscribe to that. Will's in the chat. Go and click on Daring and Doing. New episode's out now. Go and give that a subscribe as well. And we talked about it on there in terms of what we would do with some of these youngsters. And I think I'd probably lean towards keeping Will Lancashire around rather than sending him out on loan. But let me know in the chat what you should do. Let's move on then to Ebere Eze, because Peter has talked about Ebere Eze in the chat there. Either we have Eze already or forget it. Well, so there was a bit of an update yesterday on Ebere Eze in terms of Manchester City's pursuit of him potentially. Man City are considering a move for £68 million Crystal Palace playmaker Eberechi Eze. This is coming from the Mirror. Not always the most reliable source, but is it Darren? I can't remember his name. Someone will be able to tell me in the chat. He's quite reliable in terms of Tottenham stuff sometimes as well. Can't remember his name. I mean, if Man City come in for him, then it's going to be really tough for Spurs. However, there was an update this morning. Where is it? From Fabrizio Romano saying that Pep Guardiola has just confirmed that Kevin De Bruyne will not sign for Saudi Pro League this summer. No, Kevin is not leaving, Pep says. Fake news, as clarified yesterday. That, I think, to me... One thing I would say is that I think if they're not going to sell De Bruyne, I think they're less likely to go for someone like a Ebery Eze. Bear in mind, they've already signed Savio. They're looking at Dani Olmo as well. I mean, Eze would kind of potentially be instead of Olmo, I guess. But I don't see Eze in any way as the De Bruyne replacement. Like, I saw Ollie CPFC talk about this yesterday. Like, Pep Guardiola has notoriously signed brilliant ball carriers, and Ebery Eze is one of those. You could kind of see him playing on the left-hand side or in that left almost like half space, central midfield. Like, Ebery Eze would do really well at City. I don't think it's a great move for him, as we talked about on the ripple effect. But he's not the De Bruyne replacement. He's not that at all. I mean, Dani Olmo wouldn't be either. You can't replace Kevin De Bruyne. You just can't. So I don't really understand this narrative. And obviously, Pep has confirmed that De Bruyne isn't leaving anyway now. So does that affect City's pursuit of Eze? We shall see. Zeus, how you doing, my man? The GOAT. How you doing, pal? Zeus in the chat. How does Eze fit with Haaland? That's a good question. I mean, don't get me wrong, Eze would go to City and do really well. Like, he's a fantastic player. Let's not kid ourselves on that aspect. But he's not the De Bruyne replacement if that's what City are potentially looking for, and it doesn't look like they are anyway. So hopefully that gives Spurs a bit of a bump in terms of their pursuit of Eze. Obviously, we got this little bit of a bomber from Paul O'Keefe the other day after the Højbjerg news broke. Spurs are looking to accelerate with 3 potential inbounds, and potentially Eze could be one of those. Obviously, although he's on holiday at the moment after the Euros as well. Matty Kushner asked an interesting question in the chat there. Who would we rather have at Tottenham, Eze or Dani Olmo? Yeah, let me know in the chat. Can I do a poll? Am I able to poll? Can we do that? I don't know if we can do that. Maybe we can do that. Engage with your audience. Let's start a poll. All right. Who would you... I like stuff like this. Look, these lives, don't get me wrong, there might not be some structure to these. There might be a little bit all over the place. But we're going to have a laugh, all right? We're going to have fun. These are going to happen in the morning. Everyone bring their tea, bring their coffee. It's going to be quite relaxed. Who would you rather have at Spurs? Let's ask Matty's question. Eze or Olmo? I mean, we're not really linked with Olmo. We were a while back, to be fair. But, yeah, you guys have your say. I don't know how long that runs for, by the way. I've got to end it manually. Okay, cool. Eze said he'd rather stay in London. Yeah, I did see that. Ben, annoyingly, I think Olmo would do better, but I'd rather have Eze. What makes you think Olmo would do better? I mean, I really like Dani Olmo. Olmo is younger. How old is Dani Olmo? I feel like there's not much in it, though. I mean, Eze, I feel like people think that Eze is younger than he is. Eze's just turned 26. How old is Dani Olmo? Let's have a little look at Dani Olmo. I mean, I said it during the Euros. I was like, Dani Olmo to me absolutely reeks of a player. Dani Olmo's the same age as Eze. So yeah, they're the same age. Eze is a creative focal point, not just another Man City system NPC. I kind of get what you mean. I do think it's a little bit of a myth sometimes with like this whole thing of Pep ruins these players and these creative wingers, etc. Like I'm not sure how much I buy into that. Like I think a lot of people say it about Grealish, but I'm not sure how much I buy into that. But I get where you're coming from. There is naturally, is there a bit of spark that would be taken out of Eze at City? Maybe, but I mean, he'd still be fantastic, wouldn't he? Right, let's end that poll because Eze is absolutely clearing Dani Olmo there. But we'll do some more of those because we've got some obviously other players to talk about. 28 people voted. Mate, guys, thanks so much we've got 45 people in there at the moment, I believe. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We've already just hit 1K. And I'm loving this YouTube stuff, man. But we're going to be doing these most mornings throughout the transfer window if there's stuff to talk about for sure. Scare, is that how you pronounce your name? Apologies if that's incorrect. Hello, Ben. I love Eze, but I've somewhat moved in my stance on him. Let me know why. Good morning, Jan. Eze has way more to his game. Darren Smith here. We're not signing anyone of note, Ben. We'd already have done something if Levy wasn't so tight, and the longer it goes on, the further we get behind. I'm not sure about that. I think Spurs are more than happy to spend what they feel like they need to get players like this in. But deals like Eze are complicated, man. Same with Desiree Doué, same with Pedro Neto, a couple of players that we'll come on and talk about in a bit. So yeah, Ruri, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that, my bro. Right, let's move on from Eze, because yeah, like I said, if City come in, if City go big for him, then they've got the money just to pay that release clause up front. Which again, like, it's hard. The release clause, some in a funny way makes it easier, but it also makes it more complicated. So yeah, it's a tough one. Let's move on from Eze. Let's talk about some of the players going the other way, and let's talk about Pierre Højbjerg. By the way, how funny was this picture? That picture made me crease when I saw that yesterday. There's nothing funnier than just cropping and zooming in on someone's face. Pierre Højbjerg has joined Marseille on loan with an obligation to make the deal permanent. Let me know how you feel about that in the chat. Let's read Spurs' statement on it together. A few other players that we can talk about as well that I forgot to put in my tabs that we need to go through are Dorgu and Bradley Locko. Well reminded. Who said that in the chat? About have you seen some of the links from players from ITK, like Spurs ITK Hub? Yeah, there's been some about Dorgu and Locko, hasn't there? But we'll come on and talk about them. We have reached an agreement with Olympique Marseille for the loan of Pierre Højbjerg for the 24-25 season, with an obligation that would see the move become permanent. The Denmark midfielder joined us from Southampton in August 2020, and his 4 seasons here he featured in 143 of a 152 Premier League games, reaching 184 appearances for us in all competitions. Højbjerg played a lot for us, man. He may come back to Spurs. No, it's an obligation, Archie. So it's Alistair Gold explained this really well. It's basically just, you see so many more of these like loan with obligations now. It's basically just a way to like structure the payments so they don't have to pay as much money up front, etc. Like he's not coming back. He's out of contract next summer anyway. It's basically what we did with Dyer. It's what we did with. On the other hand, like on the incoming side, it's what we did with Lo Celso. It's what we did with Romero, I think, as well. A starter in the here are some of his highlights. A starter in the 2021 Carabao Cup final. Pierre's finest moment for Spurs came against the team he's now joining when he fired home a late winner in the Stade Velodrome to secure top spot in Group D of the Champions League in November 2022. That was a great goal. That was a great goal, and I do remember that. Look, Højbjerg is one of those ones. I just made a TikTok video about it, actually, right? Let me know in the chat. Højbjerg, I think, was the most divisive player in our squad, right? Some fans loved him, some fans couldn't stand him and are really glad to see him go. I'm in the middle. Like, I think it was time to move on, but I think he deserves the appreciation for what he actually did at Spurs. And I think there'll be times next season where we look to that bench and almost wish that we had him on there to kind of come and close these games out a little bit, because he did that really well for Spurs last season. And yeah, he was sensational under Mourinho as well. And that first season under Nuno when things were a bit difficult and when Conte came in, like, he was always a really consistent player. Look, don't get me wrong, a bit of a headless chicken at times and could do things that were incredibly frustrating. But I think we'll miss him a little bit. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have moved on, because we definitely should have. But yeah, let me know in the chat. I want to know who will be Tottenham's next big like scapegoat in the squad. Who will be our most divisive player? Because Højbjerg was definitely that. And I think it's going to be Kulusevski or Bissouma now. I think I can already feel it happening with Kulusevski. Like, people are like, we don't know what his best position is. He doesn't suit the system. He's too slow. He's too predictable, this kind of stuff. And Bissouma, again, I think people are really quick to jump on Yves Bissouma. Let's have a catch up with the chat then. CCH, yo, Ben from TikTok, the most genuine Spurs fan from social media. Thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. Ronnie Jones, how would you feel about the season if we made no more signings? I wouldn't feel great. We definitely need to bring some more in for sure. For sure. I don't even think Gray was part of our plans, and we were willing to put up the cash pretty quick when the opportunity came in. Yeah, exactly, Ben. You're right. In terms of like, I think that was kind of more in response to whose question was it earlier, about Spurs not spending the money and buying big players. Perisic is gone as well. Yeah, again, this is another player in Højbjerg that he's off the wage bill as much as anything. Like, it was about 100 grand a week. Spurs, I think since Johan Lang's come in and Paratici as well, or maybe just kind of since last season. I saw a stat that was like, I think 11 out of 25 players that were in the squad when Ange Postecoglou took over have now gone, have now been sold or released. So yeah, we've done well at kind of turning over players and letting them go. Archie Parker, you've seen the Kulusevski news. We'll come on to that, mate. We'll come on to that shortly. Maddison, the next scapegoat. That's a good point. If we don't get Eze, if we were to sign Gallagher, he would 100% million beat. Yeah, Archie, 100%. Son is washed. I don't. Yeah, I've got two Archies in the chat here. Werner, 100%. I don't think Son is washed. Not far from it. Kulu, definitely. Yeah. Why do you think business has been so slow? Been really poor, in my opinion. I don't think it's been really poor. Obviously, it's frustrating. A lot of top clubs haven't really done that big business yet. Obviously, Arsenal are about to sign Calafiori, but that's taken them a while. I wouldn't... Obviously, naturally, you want players in before pre-season. But I think with kind of the calibre of player that we're looking at now, more ready players to come in and step in, I don't necessarily think it's as imperative that they get a pre-season. Obviously, Ange Postecoglou was saying that he wanted players in before the tour, but that's ideal. That of course you do. Like, you're living in an ideal world there. That can't always happen. Last season we did that with Vicario and Maddison, but they were pretty easy deals to do. And like Ben says there in the chat, the Euros and Copa America finished a week ago, lads. Exactly. And we'll come on to that now, actually. We're going to jump around a bit. We'll come back to some transfer stuff in a little while. Let's go on to this. Let's go on to the Asia Tour squad. Because Spurs flew out yesterday. And Ben makes a good point to bring up the fact that the Euros and Copa America only finished a week ago, and that means that Christian Romero, Rodrigo Bentancur, Giovanni Lo Celso, and Mickey van der Ven will rejoin the squad closer to the start of the season after representing their countries in the latter stages of the Copa America and Euro 2024. So let's go through this squad then. And we'll come back to... Someone asked a question earlier in the chat, forgive me, I can't remember who it was, about who are some of the underrated youngsters, and we can talk about that a little bit now. George Abbott, Brandon Austin, Lucas Bergvall, Yves Bissouma, Ben Davis, Alfie Devine, Jamie Donnelly. Radu Dragusin will join up in Korea only, so it means we're probably going to see Archie Gray at centre-back again in that first game against Vissel Kobe. Luca Gunter, Tyrese Hall, Brennan Johnson, Dane Kulusevski, Will Lancashire, my boy, James Maddison, Mikey Moore, Ashley Phillips, Pedro Porro, Richarlison, Emerson Royale, Pat Matassar, Dane Scarlett, Oliver Skip, Manor Solomon, Heung-Min Son, Jed Spence, Destiny Udogie. Great to see him back. Guillermo Vicario. We'll come on and talk about their number change in a little while. Alea Valise, Timo Werner and Alfie Whiteman. Fraser Forster remains at Hotspur Way as he continues his rehab from a fractured foot. We already talked about the Copa America players and the Euros. Bryan Gil and Sergio Reguilon have been granted permission not to travel in order to explore prospective transfer opportunities. Now, this is great in terms of some of the youngsters that have been given a chance. Jed Spence, let's talk about Jed Spence. Obviously, he's had a really impressive couple of games in pre-season. I want to see more, and I think it's great that he's been given the opportunity. I think he did go on tour last year. Someone correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I believe I saw that on Twitter yesterday. So hopefully he gets another good opportunity. I've been really, really impressed by him. I'll be honest, we talked about it on the pod yesterday. Go and subscribe to Darren and Do It. That I wasn't sure how well Jed Spence would suit this inverted fullback role. And I think it speaks to how well Pedro Porro, Destiny Udogie and Jed Spence have kind of all done really to adapt to it when they were all kind of bought as wing-backs really. So they've all done really well. And Jed Spence, I think, has been superb. And I think he's earned himself a chance. Again, I think a lot of people were making out that Ange's comments, I think it was after the Hearts game, were pretty negative about Jed Spence. I don't really believe that. I really hope he gets a chance to impress, and I think he will, because then, if you can move Emerson Royale on, Jed Spence is a great backup to Pedro Porro, for sure, and is much better going forward in this system, which is kind of more important, really, than defensively, in a way. Because that was always Emerson's fault. It was never defensively, it was always on the ball that he really struggled. Will Lancashire, massive. I think there was obviously chat that he was going to go out on loan, potentially. Alistair Gold said that apparently Will Lancashire's been the most impressive centre-forward in pre-season training, which is great. So good. Obviously, Richarlison and Emerson on the plane. There was that picture of them yesterday. And yeah, I'm excited about this squad. I'm excited about the games we've got coming up. Like I said, there will be watch-alongs on TikTok. Go and follow me on TikTok. The link is in the description. I presume most of the people that are watching it already do, but I'm very, very close to 25k, so that'd be massively appreciated. I've got a second account on there as well, which I'm trying to build with some of these clips from YouTube, etc. So yeah, go and follow me over there. That's the pre-season tour squad. Let's talk about this. New numbers for two of those players that are on pre-season tour. Destiny Udogie, number 13. He was 13, I believe, at Udinese. I think a lot of people were hoping that maybe he'd be number 3. I certainly felt that he'd get a number change, but 13 is great for him. Apparently it's his favourite number. I don't know whether that's true. Someone let me know in the chat. And obviously, of course, the big man between the sticks, Guillermo Vicario, Tottenham's new number 1 goalkeeper. How good does that look, right? Obviously, he signed when Lloris was still here. He came in and was always going to be the number 1, and he is now not just by nature but by name as well. That's class. Really happy for Vic. Great to see him back as well amongst the group with a doggy. A couple of questions in the chat then. Where are we? People, a lot of clubs haven't done much, but the clubs closest to us have. United and Villa will storm ahead of us now. We've got Europa unless we make up in the window. We'll see. It doesn't always pan out how you think in terms of the transfer window, in terms of how impressive these players will be, how they'll catch fire. Villa have done decent business, for sure. But, ideally Spurs have got a couple more in by now, but it's just not always that easy. And I think a lot of the targets that we were looking at are away or were away at the Euros. And again, that's not always an excuse, but would you rather wait and get the right people or just go scattergun and go early? I'm not saying that's what Villa have done, and United needed this desperately, like this kind of turnaround in terms of their approach to transfers. I wouldn't say Spurs needed that as much, but that doesn't mean that we don't need more players in. But we definitely do. And hopefully this will be a big week for Tottenham. To my thinking, a skilled natural number 9 should be our priority. I don't think it should be our priority, but I think it should be a focus at some point in the window for sure. Tyrese Hall is going to be class. Jed Spencer, did go on the tour. I feel like Euros, Copa America is a poor excuse for transfers. Hasn't stopped Villa and United. It's getting Onana and Xerxes done straight after. Yeah, I mean, they kind of got Xerxes done while he was away, didn't they, really? I know you're kind of right in that aspect, for sure, but yeah, I know. But sometimes Xerxes was quite an easy one to get out of Bologna, though, wasn't it? It kind of depends on, like, the context of the actual transfer itself is important as well. Xerxes was always going to leave Bologna. Like, these players just get poached and picked at. Not every transfer is the same. But I get what you mean. And again, Onana was there. Like, he was just kind of there to go and get. And I don't think we really needed Onana, to be honest. But I get what you're saying. I thought when we first got Ange that Spence would be the best fit of the 3. That's interesting. Hopefully Emerson can be offloaded, yeah. 13 is a doggy's favourite number. Is Van de Ven getting 3? Well, Reguilon's got to get rid of it first. But I assume if Van de Ven does move, it'll be 5. But as Archie points out, Van de Ven has got an emotional connection to 37. His mate who passed away wore that number, I'm pretty sure. I think that is right. Honestly, I think I preferred Vicario 13. I kind of get that. And I made a video the other day about Van de Ven moving potentially to number 5. And maybe I do prefer 37, even though like it would help fulfill the prophecy of the Vertonghen regen. Would you tell Richie, and if so, who'd you get? We'll come on to that in a bit, mate. But probably Ivan Toney, to be honest. Villa did a few transfers to comply with FFP, exactly. Xerxes was a bench player for the Netherlands and Onana was out of the Euros weeks ago. Yep. Sell Richie, then Gyökeres is realistic. Potentially, yes. Let's move on to this guy. Bryan Gil. Oh, Bryan Gil. Bryan Gil. Sevilla have made an offer to bring Bryan Gil back to the club for a 3rd time, which is a loan with an option to buy, which could become an obligation. I can't keep doing this. If he's going to go, he's just got to go, man. If certain conditions met, they don't want to be the buying option to be more than €6 million. Don't get me wrong, Bryan Gil was not a terrible player, but this might be one of the worst bits of transfer business we've ever done. Paul O'Keefe also reported yesterday that Girona have opened talks with Tottenham for Bryan Gil, set to leave Spurs this summer. Initial discussions took place, as Paul O'Keefe reported. Bryan Gil and Sergio Reguilon will both leave Tottenham this summer. Thank God for that, eh? Thank God for that. I mean, that Eric Lamela, 25 million euros plus Lamela for Bryan Gil might be one of the worst transfer bits of business we've ever done. Yeah, Jesus. He's got to go. He's got to go, bruv. Sevilla scammed us, exactly. Yanis, nice stream. Thanks, bro. He's been sold to us as the next Messi. Mate, honestly. I mean, I'm sure we all had points where we all thought Bryan Gil was going to be good for us, right? Right? I think I did, but, you know, he's got to go. And he will go, by the looks of it, but he's got to go permanently. I can't do another loan with like an option to buy. Let's talk about this then. Dane Kulusevski, this is an interesting one. I can't see this materialising into anything really. But Antonio Conte's Napoli... sorry, I've scrolled up too much there. Tottenham Hotspur have informed Napoli that forward Dane Kulusevski will cost them 45 million euros if he is to leave this summer. Antonio Conte's Napoli are hoping the quoted fee will reduce in the coming weeks. Don't know how reliable this source is. I can't. This would be a massive mistake from Spurs. Like I said, I feel like Kulusevski is almost becoming a little bit undervalued in this Tottenham squad in terms of what he brings. Yes, he isn't the perfect winger for Ange Ball, but he's in that number 10 position, or is like an advanced number 8, potentially as a false 9 as well. You can't underestimate the value of this guy. He's just such a good player, and to sell him would be stupid, really, really stupid. It works so hard. I can't see this happening. But I really, really hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. Because I think that'd be a massive mistake. A massive, massive mistake. Can't sell Kulu because Invert the Wing said he would cut ties. Exactly. Bloody hell, that was... I mean, we can talk about that, Pedro Porro and Invert the Wing, Jesus. I don't mind Kulu leaving if we can get a proper winger. He's not the one to sacrifice, man. But that would be such a mistake if we got rid of Kulusevski. That's such a mistake. I really hope this doesn't happen. He's also the best defending attacking player we have. Also, arguably our best presser as well. Not for me, pal. We should not get rid of him. Right then. Let's talk about this quickly as well. Before we move on, Robert Villaham, Spurs women manager, has signed a new contract. I don't know in the chat how. I mean, I'm obviously. I watch quite a lot of Spurs women. I watch quite a lot of women's football. Robert Villaham had an amazing impact on Tottenham last season. Kind of turned the club to contenders really for those kind of top spaces and got us into the FA Cup final. So he's been rewarded with a new contract, which is great. And I think again, a bit like Ange, kind of embodies the attacking philosophy of the club, which is superb. Let's move on then to this. What does this have with... What's this got to do with Tottenham, you might ask, right? What's this got to do with Spurs? PSG are interested in signing Nico Williams and have already made contact as they explore a possible move. Okay. PSG have also made an offer for Jadon Sancho. Okay. Bayern Munich's top transfer target is Xavi Simons, whom Bayern want to loan from PSG with a purchase option of up to 90 million, as was recently speculated. Okay. Where am I going with this, you might ask? That's where I'm going with that. Don't know whether this is actually Desiree Doué. Desiree Doué in a Tottenham kit back in 2018. Fully coys. Now, hopefully that is true. And that's just not a picture of a random kid. Obviously, Barcelona, I think, will go for Nico Williams, and he'll probably go there. I don't think he'll end up probably at Barcelona if he's to go anywhere. But the fact that also that Osimhen, how do you spell Osimhen? Osimhen PSG. Osimhen. PSG. Osimhen PSG. That's Rems. Is that actually not Desiree Doué? Oh, bollocks. PSG is offering 80 million euros for Osimhen. Napoli does not want less than 110 million euros at the moment. At the moment, the deal is difficult. PSG and João Neves, I think they would link to. I didn't think it was Doué. I did not think it was. But yeah, the fact that PSG seem to have moved on to Williams, moved on to Osimhen, moved on to moved on to João Neves, Jadon Sancho, and Bayern. It seemed like it was going to be Simmons and Doué. Now it seems like it's going to be Simmons or Doué, and Simmons seems to be the top target. So all I'm saying is, could we? Is that deal still alive? Fabrizio Romano said last week, where was it? Spurs have now gone cold in their pursuit of Desiree Doué. I think we might go warm in our pursuit of Desiree Doué in the next week or so. I think this kid would be fantastic. On the ripple effect, we spoke about Desiree Doué as a target for Chelsea. Harry Brooks, who I'm sure a lot of you will know, who I was on the pod with, Spurs fan, football coach, excellent guy, talks brilliant sense, is in love with this guy. And he is fantastic. Like, he is absolutely superb. And I think he would be an amazing signing for Tottenham. Like, an amazing signing. Let me know in the chat, right? Let's do another poll, shall we? Which winger do you want Spurs to sign? Him and Nico and Yamal are mates. I think it's Barca for him. Yeah, I think it will be Barca if it's going to be anyone. Why is that not working? Oh, hang on. There we go. Which winger? Sign. Add an option. Eze. We aren't going to talk about Pedro Neto too much in this stream because there hasn't really been any movement on that. But let's run that poll. Let's run that. Okay, that was not Desiree Doué. That picture. That was Rems. Who is Rems? I don't know who that guy is. Rems, the social media guy who used to play for us. I've never seen him in my life, mate. I think people underestimate how much money PSG have. They activated Neymar's £220 million release clause cash up front. I'm sure they wouldn't have paid it all up front, but I kind of get your point. So for 60 million, does he even start for Tottenham or for PSG? Feels like Doué could be a new Bryan Gil. I'm not sure. I don't think. Nah, I'm not sure about that, Tim. Doué is what a guy. I'd love Tottenham to sign him. I think Doué is the perfect fit, but part of me still wants to bury Eze, and I'd still be very happy if we ended up with Neto. Holly in the chat. Yes, Ben, glad to see you doing lives. Just guided when I'm at work. I'm sorry, Holly. I'm sorry. I will. There'll be some evening ones as well. Don't worry. You know, if there's a big bomber that breaks or something, we'll do these in the evening as well. But I hope you have a lovely day, Holly. Go and subscribe to Holly. I'm sure most of you are in this chat anyway. But go and subscribe to Holly. Neto will be last, but I am fully convinced he's by far the best option. I agree. I think Neto is probably the best fit, but it's just the fitness aspect of it, ironically, that it's tough. Does Doué start for Spurs, I meant? Yeah, I think not every single game. I think it'll be rotated, but I'd love. I think Doué could come in and be a starter for sure. Which episode with the pod was the youth keep sell loan? Literally the last one, mate. I can't remember when. I'll try and find the timestamp for you. I can't remember when it was in the pod. If Will's in the chat, he might be able to let you know. When he's fit, 100%. Yeah, exactly. Holly's just got to quit a job. No, Holly's grinding, man. The support that I've kind of got since, that's what I did. I left my job to kind of pursue TikTok and YouTube and stuff like that, and I'm massively grateful for the support. So, love every single one of you in the chat. Reality is, we would all be happy if we get any of them. Absolutely, yeah. If we got any of these players, I'd be massively happy with them. So, I think the constant links with wingers say that Spurs count with Sonny at striker for next season. Yeah, I'd probably, mate, to be fair. What's the poll saying then? What's poll saying? End poll. Does Ange want Doué? I think he probably would, to be fair. Why can't I see the results of the poll? Not sure what's happened there. Desperate for the next bomber, mate, aren't we all? Does Ange want Doué? I think he definitely would. Let's move on then from Desiree Doué and talk about what are we talking about? We're talking about this guy. Spurs ITK Hub. We'll just have a quick look on the Spurs ITK Hub in a minute as well, see if there's been anything new that's come up. We're set to sign a young South Korean winger and loan him back to his current team until January or the summer. This was broken on the 21st of July. So what's the date today? 23rd. So this was on Sunday. And then literally the day after, Ryan Taylor Don't know who this guy writes for. The Mirror. Unnamed Premier League club in talks to sign 18-year-old South Korean winger Heung-Min. I believe it's pronounced Hyo. I think if there's anybody in the chat that will be able to correct me, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you pronounce the K or not. I did a little YouTube tutorial because I did a TikTok video on him, and I was like, okay, how do I pronounce this? Gangwon FC say CEO Kim Byung-ji will share details of transfer on YouTube livestream. This made me laugh. On July the 28th or 29th, so we ain't got long to go, lads. Min Hyo picked for K-League 11 that faces Spurs on July the 31st in Seoul. I've got to be honest, I know nothing about this guy. Do anybody know anything about him? Again, I'm sure there'll be a totally normal reaction to this amongst the Spurs fan base, right? Hopefully he's not one of the 3 big deals that Spurs are looking to accelerate moves for. But I have no problem with this signing. I have no problem with it. If they see him as a potential, if they see the potential in him, loan him back, low fee, see what happens. 18 years old, wonder kid. Okay. Well, we'll see him in the flesh. We'll see him play against us on the 31st, so we'll get to really see what he's like. Which winger... Okay, the winger poll then. Which winger should Spurs sign? Doué 50%, Eze 43%, and Neto 6%. 30 if you voted on it. 6% for Neto is mental. Yeah, I kind of agree. It's just the injuries, isn't it? Tadera to Doué. Exactly, Ben. Are we getting Ivan Toney? Not sure. But I think if we sell Richarlison, then I think there's a good chance that does happen. Yeah. That's kind of your lot, really, in terms of the transfer bits. Has anything else happened? Let's have a quick scroll on Twitter because something might have happened while we've been on there. What's this guy saying? Oh yeah, I said about Trevor Chalobah. What's people's thoughts on that? 3 deals to accelerate doesn't necessarily mean last 3 deals we could have some more signs after outgoings. Yeah, exactly. And also, mate, like on this guy. Where is it? Unnamed Premier League club. Yeah. On this, I saw someone on a TikTok video talk about it. It's almost like, just because, say if this guy's the next signing, right? I know Spurs fans will blow up and not be happy. But the order in which you sign your players doesn't necessarily reflect the priority in which you need them. So I wouldn't be like, you can't be too annoyed if this is the next guy we sign. But we shall see. Yeah, Trevor Chalobah. What was people's thoughts on that? I said Tottenham should be all over this. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like Trevor Chalobah would be great for Spurs as a backup option. Physically dominant, versatile. It depends if Spence leaves, I suppose. Anything else happened? Touchdown in Tokyo. The lads are here. There's Destiny and Doggy. There's Heung-Min Son. The lads are there. And the first game is on Saturday. So it's Japan first, then it's Korea. It's great to have Destiny back, isn't it? What a fucking guy, man. Has anything else happened this morning? Anything else going on Spurs Twitter? Anybody else seen anything in the chat? Ben Davis, 10 years of Ben Davis. Do we think Ben Davis will leave this summer? Sui's just put in the chat about needing a left-footed defender. Is Ben Davis one that we could keep around? Versatile again, isn't going to let you down. So we'll see. I wouldn't mind keeping Ben Davis, to be honest. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind it. And I think that's your lot, lads. Touchdown in Tokyo in 1971. Wow. Spurs in 1971 on pre-season to Tokyo. Sick. Will a doggy be playing? Say they said they'd still be recovering. Yeah, we'll see. We shall see what happens. But lads, that was the first stream. I'll be doing these daily, probably in the mornings. I'll probably be back on here tomorrow morning. If you guys want to come say hi, if anything happens, obviously, We can chat about that. We'll chat all things latest with Tottenham. Thank you so much to everyone who's supported so far. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you go and subscribe to the channel. I enjoyed that. I very much enjoyed that. I can predict our starting 11 against Vissel Kobe maybe tomorrow, mate. Yeah, we can do that tomorrow. We can chat about the game, 100%. Nice one, lads. Very much enjoyed that. Have a lovely rest of your day. Go and follow the TikTok. Go and subscribe to Darren and Doing. Go and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And go and follow me on Twitter as well. That'd be nice. Love you all. Have a lovely